All right, welcome everyone. I am Kelly Waymont and I am glad you are here for our September Club Silhouette class. Today we are going to be talking about the Silhouette Clochet. So that is our heat press. I'm going to give you a full rundown on that. We will talk all about it and then do some projects. But if you are, well, you are our special members for Club Silhouette and Diamond Design Store subscribers. And so also I would like to answer any questions you have for the announcements we made at Silhouette Summit last week. So we've got the brand new Silhouette Cameo Alpha that is available right now. And we are actually going to be doing a live on that in a couple of hours at 1:30 Mountain Time today. But since you're here, I can answer any questions you might have in advance, any questions you have from the buzz at Silhouette Summit. So let me know if you have any comments and questions. If you, I might be asking for some input, some opinions on maybe different things I'm doing with the cloChé. So I would like your input and comments as much as you're willing to share. But let's go ahead and start talking about the cloChé. So this is the Silhouette Clochet. This is a heat press. It's a clamshell type heat press. So it will called a clamshell because we are closing it like a clamshell. So that gives it really good even pressure, which is important for a heat press. It's an advantage over any type of handheld heat press or any iron that you might be using, is to have it close and have even pressure and heat all throughout. And like if you're using an iron, a lot of times you have holes, so you're either getting uneven heat from an iron by holding it still, or if you're moving it around, you have the risk of actually your design shifting. So this style of heat press is awesome. One of the fun things about it is that it is so cute. It looks really awesome on your craft room shelf or wherever you need to put it in your craft room. It is a super simple operation. So it's got a little dial that has your temperature gauge, or it has your temperature. So you've basically got low, medium, and high as you do this dial. And then you have, it's not stopping at those points. You've got the flexibility to go anywhere in that range between low, medium, and high. It does include a mini heat press. So let me show you where that is. Every Silhouette Clochet comes with the Clochet Petite stuck right there in the bottom. So you just pull it out and the cord, and you have your Clochet Petite. Now this one does have to be plugged in to heat up. It's got a USB cable that comes with it. You can either plug it into the front of the cloChé, or you can plug it into any USB outlet. So you plug it in to the little Petite, and then you plug it in the other side into your USB port. And then for the Petite, you have to make sure that you turn it on. It's just got a little button on the front and then an indicator light to let you know that it's on. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. As far as colors of the Silhouette Clochet, you've got this really pretty chiffon pink. That's the one I have at home. And then in the back here, we have two other colors. So we've got this one, which is a really pretty kind of a mint green. It's called ice green. And then we have this really pretty cream or beige color, and that is called Milky White. So you've got all three of these colors, and I think they're all really pretty. I know some people have favorites, whether they like pink or green or the cream. I love them all. I would be happy with any one of them. They're so pretty. You saw that I could lift them up easily. This is about 10 or 11 pounds. So it's really easy. It makes it portable. I don't know about you, if you have tried to use another heat press and you need to go somewhere with it and do like an activity with teenagers. They love doing heat press t-shirts or adding little designs to their pants. And I have tried to move a full-size heat press from my house to the location where we were doing the heat pressing, and that is tough. So I love how portable the cloChé is. It is just awesome. It also, because it's so small and compact and portable, it's easy to fit in your craft space. And it doesn't get super hot on the outside. It does get hot on the top while it's heating up and while it's in use, but it maybe took only 5 minutes after I had unplugged it and turned it off before it was cool enough to close up and just put to the side in my craft room. I was sharing space between my cloChé and my Cameo machine, and so I needed to be able to use my Cameo machine again. Needed to close up and put away my cloChé, and that was easy to do. It cooled down within just a few minutes. Oh, and it heats up a lot faster than other full-size heat presses too. So the cool down and heat up time is a lot shorter. So that's another really nice thing about it being so compact. It does have a locking mechanism. We talked about that briefly. It's just this clasp on the bottom. It's really easy. You're just pulling it out from the bottom with your fingers. So I'm just giving a little bit of pressure on the top with my thumb and pulling out from underneath. And once that's loose, then you can release the clasp off the top, and then it opens up. This does have a safety feature, so it's not going to fall down on your hands. You don't want a heat press to fall on your hands. That probably doesn't need to be said. When you do need to press it down, it just has this little push button on the side that releases the lid, and then it can just go down. So super easy. Lift it up, it locks without touching anything, and when you're ready to put it down, just press this button on the side and it goes down. And then once you've got your material there, then you would clamp it down, and that gives it that nice even pressure. All right, some other safety measures we've got are is for if you forget to turn it off. So when the temperature is reached for what you've got it set at for like medium, once it has reached that temperature, and if you leave the lid open for 15 minutes, it's going to sound an alarm, and after a minute of that little beeping, it's just going to turn itself off because it's assumed that you have forgotten about it because you haven't used it for 15 minutes. So it's got that safety feature. If you ever forget and you leave it on while it's open, you've got 15 minutes to give it some activity to wake it up before it shuts itself off. Now, when you have closed it, it's also got a safety feature. So when it's closed, it goes for 45 seconds, it'll press, and then your timer alarm will go off that you're supposed to open it. If it stays closed for 2 minutes, then it is going to turn itself off. So whether you forget and leave it open and walk off and do other things, it's going to turn itself off after 15 minutes. If you forget and leave it closed for 2 minutes, it's going to turn itself off. So it's got those nice safety features. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and get this heated up for our first project. Do we have any questions or comments yet? Looks like we don't. So we will go ahead and start with, well, we'll start with something easy. We'll do a smooth heat transfer on a hot pad. This comes with a silicone mat. So you've got your, it's heat proof. So that's, you're always going to leave the silicone mat there in place when you're doing your heat pressing. I'm doing smooth heat transfer, so I'm going to turn this on to medium. So if it's plugged in and opened up and then you turn the dial on, you're going to see the light start to flash. So while it's flashing, it means it's still heating up, and when it goes solid green, that's when it's that means that it is at the temperature that you've set. So while that heats up, I'm also going to plug back in the Petite, just so I've got that. Ready when I need it. Okay, so as far as, while that's heating up, I'll talk a little bit more about it. So the heat plate size, the part that heats up is here on the top. The bottom part doesn't heat up, although it does get hot when you're pressing it. But this is the part that heats up. It is 10.2 inches by 6.3 inches. That's the exact size. And then the guaranteed heating pressing area is 9.8 inches by 5.9 inches. And if you're looking for millimeters, the heat plate size is 260 millimeters by 160 millimeters. And then the guaranteed pressing area is 250 millimeters by 150 millimeters. So I have found that that really does most of the things that I want to press. So I have over the years collected a few heat presses, and I have a 15 by 15 inch heat press, and that thing is a beast. You can't move it at all. And I have used it maybe once in the last 5 years for a t-shirt that I wanted to do bigger than that pressing area. And then, yeah, so really this size does the most. Even if you have multiple heat presses, you'll probably be like me, and this is the one that you grab 90% of the time. And so because you can also press it in stages, so you can press most of the design and then shift it and finish pressing the design, this really is the only heat press that you would need. As far as temperature, I told you it has a low, medium, and high. The low is 248 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius. The medium is 320 degrees Fahrenheit or 160 degrees Celsius. And the high is 392 degrees Fahrenheit or 200 degrees Celsius. So 248 to almost 400 degrees Fahrenheit, that gives you a wide range. Even if you're doing like sublimation, that needs that close to 400 degrees, this can do it. So it really is a very versatile heat press. Thickness, it will go as thick as 5 millimeters. So 0 to 5 millimeters is the thickness that it can handle. And yeah, it looks like we are heated up to medium. So I think the thing that I will do first is a iridescent heat transfer. So this is one of our specialty heat transfers that is really cool. I don't know if you can see it, but it's got, actually in the way I cut it, it's got multiple colors there, and it's going to be able to shine, be a little bit reflective when you shine a light on it. So I haven't finished weeding this yet, so I'll go ahead and do that now. this iridescent heat transfer, most heat transfers have a sticky backing that will hold your media in place. This one is actually kind of a frosted color on the backing, so it's not clear and sticky like you would get with most heat transfers. And so you have to be careful with this one. It comes off easily, it weeds easily, but if part of your design lifts off, it's not going to stick back down to your surface very easily. So you just want to be a little bit careful that you're not pulling off more of the design than you want. And it's a little bit curly, but I love weeding heat transfer. It's just, especially when you get a good cut like this. So when you're weeding, if you are not familiar with heat transfer or vinyl, weeding is just like in a garden. You're taking away the parts that you don't want. So this design, it may look like I'm pulling away the letters, but I'm actually leaving the outline in place. So that is what I want to do. In this case, I want to pull out the centers of the letters. And when you're working with heat transfer, I think it's a good idea to pull away the backing area first, like I did, the most outside line, and then it's a little less confusing for the other parts that need to be pulled away. I still don't see any comments. So when I'm ready to press this on my shirt, the Silhouette Clochet has a, again going along with the lines of simplicity, it's got a 45-second timer. So the timer is not adjustable. It's always 45 seconds before it beeps. As soon as you close it, it starts its countdown to 45 seconds. But you can absolutely use your own timer if you're trying to do less time than that or more time than that. All right, so this design is just about ready. So there's the back side. With heat transfer, you're always cutting it in reverse because you're applying it, you're cutting it backwards and then applying it so you can see the front. All right, so I'm going to do this t-shirt and move these other machines back here. All right, now a lot of times when I'm doing heat transfer, I will kind of press the area first that I am intending to apply the heat transfer to, and that doesn't take the full 45 seconds. That's just a down for a few seconds. That can help remove any moisture that's in your fabric. And sometimes preheating is helpful. And then another thing I will do with a t-shirt is give it a little press to find the crease, or to give it a little crease. so I know where the center is. So I'm matching up kind of the armpits here. The neck isn't always the perfect indicator of where the center is. Push the little release to bring that down. And then that is going to give me a little bit of a crease on the shirt. So I can find the center. And I can also give a little crease in on my cutout, so I know where the center is for that also. And then I'm just lining up. And that is helpful when you're trying to find the center of your shirt. There's lots of different ways to do that, but I find that is a pretty easy way to do it. And then I will usually put my design several inches down from the collar. And when you're using sticky or heat transfer, it will usually stick to your shirt. The iridescent heat transfer does not have that stickiness. And so a lot of times I'll just stick it on my shirt and hold it up and see if it looks straight. But in this case, I am just gonna go for it. All right, so got my design there, and it takes up most of the space that I have available. So I'm going to feel for the edges and make sure that I've got my design all the way on that pressing area. Okay, so none of that goes off the edge, so we are good. I'm going to bring that down, and then I can just roll up the shirt and clamp it in place, and now we've just got a 45-second wait. I still don't see any comments, but if you do have comments, just let me know. And this heat transfer, sometimes if you are doing a new material, it might take a little bit of experimentation as far as if that 45 seconds is right, if your temperature needs to go slightly up or down. And so I'm just going to go with the medium temperature right now for that 45 seconds. Okay, you hear the beep? Now all we do is lift the clasp, pull it out at the bottom, and then lift at the top. We'll open it up, and we'll see if this is stuck on there. Yeah, that does seem to be coming off pretty good. I'm going to go slowly. Now if any of my design starts to lift, I can just put this carrier sheet back down and press it again. But so far so good. looks pretty good. I am going to give it one more quick little press. You never ever want to heat press back down on your same, onto any heat transfer that doesn't have the carrier in the way, and so I'm just going to put a little piece of parchment paper there. And that does not need the full 45 seconds, maybe 3 to 5 seconds. Okay, so now we have got our awesome shirt, and that just that's a really cool effect with the iridescent. It's got kind of a purple, gold, green, blue, all those colors on there. I must say it looks awesome. So hopefully you can get a little bit better view. I don't have a light to shine on it, but it does have those variations in color. Let's see if the camera might be able to get it. And you could do that on, it looks really cool on a dark shirt like we've done here, but you can also do it on light shirts, and that will show up with those really pretty iridescent colors. Okay, let's do a pillow cover. So one of the things I like to decorate with heat transfer is a pillow cover. So I've got just an 18 by 18 inch pillow form here, and I have just bought some generic pillow covers that fit that. And so I'm just going to put my heat transfer on this pillow cover. I'm going to press this for a second and get some of the creases off of that. I don't think it's actually going to show those creases once we get the pillow stuffed in there, but it does work great for removing creases. All right, so what I've got for this pillow, I decided to do a flocked heat transfer that's soft and fuzzy, so if you're laying down on the pillow, you're not going to, I mean, glitter would be pretty, but glitter would kind of be scratchy if you were actually laying on the pillow. So I chose a flocked heat transfer, and I decided, I made a little mistake as I was weeding last night. And remember how I told you to pull away, weed the outside of your design first? Well, I didn't do that. I had this all black, and I was just pulling out the little void areas on the cat, and then I just went right along to the next thing, and I pulled off the end, and then I realized I was supposed to leave that end there, which would not have been a problem if I had pulled away all the background first. I wouldn't have made that mistake. So I figured I'd show you how to correct that. I just sent this through again. I had this extra space up here that I didn't cut anything out of, and so I just I turned off the cut lines for all of this and then just cut another N. And so there's a couple ways we could do this. I could apply the whole design and then go back and put the N on there, or I can cut out the space where the N should go and just place it. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to cut out. Either way, you're doing a little bit of hand placing, but I'm just going to cut out the area where this N is so I can just do it all at once. Now you notice this is a vertical design, and the t-shirt I did as a horizontal, but it's still that same pressing area, so I wouldn't press it this way. I'm going to press it this way, and it fits under that space. All right, let's see if I can find the center again. Just going to press that down so I get a crease on my pillow. And then I'm not sure I had that totally centered, so I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. Try not to get it crooked. You can get a heat-proof tape if you have a transfer that's not sticking to your fabric surface, that will hold things in place, and the heat press won't hurt it. But I'm just going to eyeball it. I think that looks okay. Okay, so again, I'm just going to feel around and make sure that my design doesn't go off the side. All right, so that is all, got a hard surface underneath it. Try and get my little N so it looks like it was always cut out that way in the right spot. All right, so that is ready. And you can, if you want to, you can also use your protective sheet when you're actually doing the initial press. Roll that out of the way, and clamp it, and we will wait our 45 seconds. Now this one might, I can't remember if flocked heat transfer might need a little bit hotter temperature, but we'll try it and see if that comes, transfers correctly. And I am going to show you another thing. A couple projects where we can use the cloChé Petite. Right now we'll just see if this 45 seconds will be enough at the medium temperature. All right, so we will see if that transfers. Oh yeah, that looks good. Still going slow just to make sure I don't leave anything. Nothing comes up on the carrier sheet. Now sometimes if it's pulling up, it means you need to do a little bit more time. And sometimes if it really is sticking hard to the carrier sheet, that probably means that it needs a cool release. So you would just let your heat transfer cool down completely before you pull that off. And sometimes your product will tell you if it's a hot release or cool release or warm. So I'm going to give this one little quick press again with that protective layer there. And there we go. Got our cute little pillow form, a cute little pillow that we'll stuff the pillow form into. This makes it really fun to customize things in your house. You can make all sorts of things. It doesn't have to just be limited to t-shirts that you're doing heat transfer with. This way you can decorate your home. Yeah, and that's the flocked is really nice and soft. So here we go, super cute. All right, now I wanted to talk a little bit about the Petite. So this is kind of a stamp style heat press, little miniature heat press. It's got a little heat plate in there, a little round one, and then it's not exposed just by holding it. It's exposed when you press down. So when you press down, it's going to move this little shield out of the way and will expose the little round heat plate. So one thing I did in getting ready for my trip to Japan for Silhouette Summit was I made this cute little, I took this fanny pack that Silhouette gave me, and I cut out a bunch of little individual flowers and used the Petite to press each one of those on there. And I have a few more flowers left, so I figured I would just show you how to do that. Now normally when you're doing a heat press, you need you always need a hard surface underneath, so you've got something to give pressure. But what I found when I'm just doing these tiny little flowers is I can just use a heat-proof glove on one hand, and I just get these when a lot of my curling irons and flat irons have come with those. And so I'm just using the heat-proof glove on the back side. Since this is such an odd shape, it would be hard to heat press that and get all that design the way I wanted. So it's just easier to take those designs individually and press them on. So there's my cutout, and there's my preheated Petite, and I'm just going to press. This also helps if you've got a material that you're worried about it melting, because you can have such a short contact period. And so I'm just pressing that design. And then when I peel it off, there it is, it stays there. Now I did notice I've got one that's trying to come up that I didn't get all the way on, so I'm putting that protective layer back on. So I'm never heat pressing directly on vinyl that's not protected. All right, and I think we've got room for another little couple flowers. So I just kind of make this design up. I just cut out a bunch of flowers and just started adding them one at a time. Just made it up as I went along. And it's just really fun to use the Petite this way. This is also if you were trying to heat press onto maybe a hat or onto shoes, with little designs, I would use that same process. So that Petite is just so adorable. Whoop. Let's do my last one. All right, all done. Super cute little fanny pack with every flower hand placed, but you can see how fast that was. It didn't take me very long to do that whole design. So that's something I think I'll do more projects like that in the future. That was just so fun. Another thing you can do with the Petite is you can add rhinestones. So I have got, I'm just going to keep my heat press awake by putting it down briefly so it knows I'm still intending to use it. But I have got these rhinestones, and this is actually a little bag I decorated at Silhouette Summit probably last year in Hawaii, and I never did anything with it. It was just in my stash of unused heat transfer stuff, and so I thought it would be fun to add a few little accents of heat transfer or heat activated rhinestones. So you can buy rhinestones that have a glue on the back that are activated when you heat it up. Now I haven't actually done this yet, but we're gonna try it. Where's my pick-me-up tool? I think I need that. So I've got some green, some yellow, see if they fall the right direction. There we go. And some pink. So I'm just going to add some little accents. Just kind of random. All right, so place my little Petite, press over the top. And it's been a while since I've done rhinestones, so I can't remember how long to do it. There we go. You can kind of nudge it with your fingernail to see if that glue is sticking. And again, I want to make sure that I'm not actually touching the heat transfer that's already there. So it's probably 30 seconds at least that you need to heat the rhinestones. And it's probably big enough I can fit 3 little ones together. We'll try that. And then once I've got them down, I will probably go over it again just to make sure they're really secured. But I'm just kind of getting them in place for now. And I would not touch them directly with your fingers at first. Use your fingernail so you can kind of see how cute that is, just to add a little sparkle to your heat transfer designs. So you could add just the rhinestones and no heat transfer, but this one's kind of fun to have both of them together. All right, so it looks like we still have some time. I want to do a hot pad. So then this one is just regular smooth heat transfer. And with this hot pad, obviously, since you don't want hot things to touch your heat transfer, you're going to pick the side that you're not going to be grabbing your hot oven things with. So we're not going to put anything on this grabbing side. We're going to put it on the back side, and I'm going to put it so when I hang it up, I can see my design while it's hanging from a hook. So I think I cut a couple different ones, but I think I'm going to go with this Grill Master Smokin' Hot. And I think we'll probably be good with medium on this one too. This one's just smooth heat transfer. And this is a little bit thicker than what we've done, but remember we can go all the way up to 5 millimeters, the surface that you're putting under there. So put that down. We'll wait for our 45 seconds. While we wait for that, I'm actually going to finish weeding this one, and I can do this one on another hot pad later. Oh, and I guess, let me see, I will list the design ID numbers on the projects that I did. So on the pillow cover, the Nope Not Today, that's number 396621. And then those little cherry blossoms on the Fanny pack, that was from design number 1271899. Then this hot pad, that didn't, I think that needs a little more time. On the hot pad, I'm not sure which is which, but the hot stuffing or the Grill Master, one of them is 367443, and then the other one is 420907. And then that awesome heat transfer, the iridescent heat transfer on the black t-shirt, that was number 219426. So if you want to duplicate any of these exactly, those are the design ID numbers. All right, so this one doesn't want to come off yet, so I can either do it, press it a little bit longer, or I'm going to see if I cool it down if that is going to help it release from the backing. So if you're having trouble, there's another thing that could be happening. If the fabric itself has any kind of chemical treatment to it to either make it softer or something, maybe this one's got a little bit of heat resistance to it, I don't know. But sometimes it's in the fabric itself that will kind of resist the heat transfer from applying to it. And so you can just wash your items wash and completely dry your items before you try adding heat transfer. If that seems to be, you can't figure out a reason why it's not sticking, it could be just a chemical that's in the fabric. All right, have we lost our video or are we okay? Okay, so this, I let it cool down and that seems to have been what it wanted. So it wanted a cool release on this one. So now you can see all I did was cool it down and now it is coming off nice and smooth. So cute. And just make sure when you're doing your grabbing your things out of the oven that you are grabbing with the side that does not have heat transfer on it. And this part is just to look cute. All right, so that is what I've got for you today. Hopefully you have found that the cloChé heat press is a great tool for your craft room. I absolutely love mine. Just it's cute, it's compact, it's portable, it's cools down and heats up quickly. That Petite is just a really fun tool to use because I like tiny things. Everything's better in miniature, so just super fun. I highly recommend this for all of your craft rooms. And it looks like we don't have any comments, so I won't go into the announcements we did at Silhouette Summit. You can tune into those on our social media and YouTube channels. We'll be publishing all about that. But thank you for joining me today, and I hope I see you again next month for our next Club Silhouette class, and we'll do something fun all over again. Bye-bye.